Welcome to Whisper Garden, where we cultivate peaceful sleep through gentle stories and magical journeys. I'm here to help you drift into the deepest, most restorative rest. And if this channel brings you comfort, please consider subscribing to join our growing community of dreamers. Tonight, we invite you to settle into the deepest comfort and let your breathing slow and deepen as we embark on a meditation marathon that will carry you through two enchanted realms where time moves differently and dreams take form. Take a moment now to find your most comfortable position and close your eyes gently, like curtains drawing shut at the end of a long day, as we prepare to visit a hidden spiral staircase covered in velvet moss, where each step takes you deeper into unspoken dreams, and then journey across mystical waters to an island where an ancient lighthouse tends not to ships, but to the dreams of the sea itself. Let your breath become your gentle guide, and with each exhale, feel yourself becoming lighter, more open to the magic that surrounds us always, just waiting to be discovered. The Velvet Staircase. This city breathes quietly tonight, its exhales visible in pale wisps that curl around street lamps like forgotten prayers. You find yourself walking without destination, your footsteps soft against rain-slicked cobblestones that gleam like scattered coins in the amber light. Sleep has abandoned you again, leaving you to wander these drowsy streets, where windows glow with the gentle light of late readers and insomniacs nursing their solitary cups of tea. The restlessness in your chest feels like a bird trapped behind your ribs, fluttering against the cage of your bones. You pull your coat closer and breathe in the night air, cool and sweet, with the lingering scent of rain and something else. Something that reminds you of old books and lavender sachets tucked between forgotten pages. It's then that you notice the bookshelf. How strange that you've never seen it before. Though you've walked this street countless times, the building leans slightly, as if tired from holding up so many stories. Its weathered brick facade, painted soft gray-green by the streetlight's glow. The sign above the door is so faded you can barely make out the words. Morpheus and Co., purveyors of dreams and dusty tome. In the window, a single lamp casts a golden circle of light across towers of books that seem to sway gently, though there's no wind. The door stands slightly ajar, and warm air drifts out, carrying scents that make your eyelids heavy, vanilla and old leather, rain-soaked earth and something indefinably peaceful, like the memory of your grandmother's attic on summer afternoons. Without quite deciding to, you find your hand on the brass doorknob, worn smooth by countless other restless hands, and you step inside. The interior exhales around you like a contented sigh. Dust motes dance lazy spirals in the amber light, each one catching the gleam from scattered reading lamps that pool golden warmth across uneven wooden floors. The shelves rise high into shadows, leaning against each other like old friends sharing secrets, their spines creating a patchwork of faded golds and deep burgundies, forest greens and midnight blues. The air is thick and drowsy, heavy with the weight of 1,000 stories and the comfortable mustiness of age. You move deeper into the store, your footsteps muffled by Persian rugs worn soft as moss. Books seem to whisper as you pass. Not words, exactly, but the gentle susurrus of pages breathing in the quiet air. Some volumes lean outward slightly, as if reaching for your touch, their covers soft with age and handling. You trail your fingers along their spines, feeling the raised letters of titles in languages you recognize, and some you don't, all of them humming with the quiet energy of stories waiting to unfold. In the farthest corner, where the lamplight grows dim and golden, you discover something unusual behind a shelf that tilts at an odd angle, a shelf filled with books about sleep and dreams, about night gardens and lunar phases. You glimpse a hint of deeper shadow. When you ease the shelf aside, and it moves easily, as if accustomed to being moved, you find a doorway you're certain wasn't there moments before. Beyond the threshold, a spiral staircase descends into soft, greenish light that seems to emanate from the walls themselves. The steps are unlike anything you've ever seen, covered not in carpet or wood, but in something that looks and feels like velvet moss, deep emerald and soft as a sigh beneath your feet. The banister is smooth driftwood, warm to the touch, and as you rest your hand upon it, you feel a gentle pulse, like the slow heartbeat of the sleeping forest. The descent begins almost without your conscious decision. One step, then another, and the world above seems to fade away like morning mist. The walls on either side are neither stone nor wood, but something organic, curved and smooth, covered in the same velvet moss that cushions your steps. Tiny points of bioluminescent light dot the surface like captured stars, pulsing gently in rhythm with your breathing. As you spiral downward, time begins to feel different. Not slower exactly, but more fluid, like honey poured from a jar on a summer afternoon. Your thoughts, which had been sharp-edged with insomnia and restlessness, begin to soften at their corners. The descent feels endless and instantaneous all at once, each step taking you deeper not just into the earth, but into something that feels like the architecture of sleep itself. The air grows cooler and more still, carrying scents that shift and change with each breath. Now pine needles and morning dew, now warm milk and cinnamon, now the indefinable scent of snow falling on a moonlit garden. Your heartbeat slows to match the gentle pulse in the banister, and your breathing deepens without your noticing. The staircase seems to spiral through layers of dream, each turn revealing glimpses of impossible things in your peripheral vision. A door made of crystallized starlight, a window that looks out onto forests of sleeping flowers, an alcove where silver butterflies rest with folded wings, but when you turn to look directly, there's only the soft green glow and the endless spiral of velvet steps beneath your feet. After what feels like hours or perhaps minutes, the staircase begins to widen. The walls curve outward, and you sense vast spaces opening around you, filled with the kind of hushed expectancy you remember from childhood, the moment before a story begins, the pause before sleep takes hold, the quiet breath between one dream and the next. The first doorway appears on your left, outlined in pale silver light that seems to breathe. There's no door, only an archway, hung with curtains of gossamer that part at your approach, like gentle hands welcoming you forward. You step through and enter a room that makes your breath catch in your throat. You are standing in a chamber where feathers float suspended in midair, each one caught in its own slow dance. They drift and turn without wind or wire, white and gray and softest brown, some large enough to have come from great birds you've only imagined, others tiny as fingertips. From creatures no bigger than your thumb, the feathers move in patterns that almost make sense. Spirals that remind you of DNA, helixes, formations like flocks in migration, solitary dancers that spin and pause and spin again. The light here comes from no source you can identify, a gentle luminescence that seems to emanate from the air itself. It's the color of early morning sky, that moment when night hasn't quite decided to become day. The walls curve away into shadow, giving the impression of vast space, though the room feels intimate as a cupped palm. In the center of this floating ballet, a single bird perches on what appears to be a branch of crystallized air. The bird is silent, its feathers the deep blue-black of midnight water, its eyes bright and knowing. As you approach, it turns its head to regard you with ancient patience. Then, with movements slow as prayer, it lifts from its impossible perch and settles weightlessly on your shoulder. You feel no pressure from its feet, only a gentle warmth that spreads through your body like brandy in winter. The bird leans close to your ear, and though it makes no sound, you hear something. Not quite music, not quite words, but a whisper that sounds like wind through wheat fields, like pages turning in a distant room, like your mother's voice, humming lullabies you thought you'd forgotten. Standing among the floating feathers, with the silent bird on your shoulder, you feel the last of your wakefulness beginning to dissolve. Your thoughts drift apart like dandelion seeds, each one floating away on currents too gentle to resist. You could stay here forever, you think drowsily, watching the eternal dance of feathers in the breathless air. But the bird shifts on your shoulder, a reminder as soft as silk, and you understand that this is only the first room of many. With reluctance sweet as honey, you turn toward another archway that is opened while you weren't looking, its threshold glowing with the soft blue-white of winter moonlight. The bird remains on your shoulder as you pass through the gossamer curtains once more, its warmth a companion in the gentle transition between dreams. The second room unfolds around you like a secret being whispered, and you find yourself standing in the heart of a rainstorm that defies every law you thought you knew. Rain falls upward here, rising from an unseen floor in perfect droplets that climb through the air like liquid stars seeking heaven. Each drop catches and holds light from some impossible source, creating a constellation in constant motion around you. The sound is not the harsh patter of storms, but something softer, each drop singing a single pure note as it ascends, creating a symphony of water music that makes your bones hum with recognition. You reach out your hand, and the ascending rain kisses your palm with touches cool and gentle. Where each drop meets your skin, you hear something, fragments of melodies you almost remember, half-formed tunes that might have been lullabies your grandmother sang, or songs you heard in dreams and lost upon waking. The water doesn't make you wet, but seems instead to wash away small tensions you didn't know you carried, leaving you lighter, more translucent. The walls of this room are made of cloud song and silver mist, shifting and reforming like thoughts on the edge of sleep. Sometimes you glimpse shapes in the vapor, faces you might have known, places you might have been, moments of joy so pure they make your chest ache with sweetness. But when you try to focus, they dissolve back into mist and music, leaving only the impression of beauty half remembered. Above you, there is no ceiling, only the endless climb of luminous raindrops towards something that might be sky, or might be the inside of a pearl. The bird on your shoulder spreads one wing, and several ascending drops touch its feathers, creating sounds like tiny bells, like children laughing in a distant garden, like the first word of a story you've always wanted to hear. You close your eyes and let the upward rain wash over you, each drop a small absolution, a gentle erasure of the day's sharp edges. When you open them again, your vision has gone soft around the corners, and the world seems painted in watercolors that bleed gently into one another. The restlessness that brought you to the bookshop has dissolved completely now, replaced by a profound peace that feels like coming home to a place you never knew you'd lost. But even as you sink deeper into this aqueous reverie, you notice another archway opening in the mist wall across from you. This one glows with the warm amber of candlelight, and through its threshold you glimpse moving shadows that dance with the eager energy of children at play. The rain song changes pitch as you move toward the new doorway, becoming softer, more distant, until it's only a whisper of water music, following you like a blessing. The silent bird adjusts its grip on your shoulder, feathers rustling with sounds like pages turning. And together, you step through into the third dream. This room pulses with the warm golden light of theater footlights. But the stage before you is unlike any you've ever seen. Shadows move across backdrops of dreams, puppets without strings, performing plays written in languages of sleep and starlight. The shadows are your size and smaller, some child size, some no bigger than your hand, all of them moving with the fluid grace of thoughts becoming visible. The puppet theater stretches as far as you can see, with countless small stages set at different levels, each one telling a different story. On one, shadow children play games you remember from your own childhood, but with rules that shift like wind through grass. On another, shadow lovers meet and part and meet again in an endless dance of longing that makes your heart flutter with recognition. A third stage shows shadow trees growing backward into seeds, then blooming again into forests of possibility. You realize with a start that these are scenes from dreams you almost had, the dreams that hover just beyond sleep's threshold, the ones that scatter like starlings when the alarm clock sounds. Here they play out in their shadow theater, finally free to complete their strange and beautiful narratives. The bird on your shoulder begins to make the softest sound, barely audible, a humming that might be purring or might be the sound of contentment itself. Its warmth spreads through your body like tea with honey, and you feel your eyelids growing heavy as you watch the shadow play. One performance draws your attention more than the others. On a stage draped in midnight blue, a shadow version of yourself sits by a window that looks out onto a garden of sleeping flowers. The shadow you is younger, or perhaps simply more at peace, and as you watch, it opens a book that glows with soft light. But instead of reading, the shadow begins to sing, a wordless lullaby that rises and falls like breathing, like waves on a distant shore, like the memory of safety. Other shadows gather to listen. Shadow cats that purr in harmonies, shadow birds that add their own gentle melodies, shadow children who curl up like flower buds and begin to drift toward their own shadow dreams. The song weaves around you, and you find yourself swaying slightly, your own breathing synchronizing with its rhythm. The theater begins to dim around the edges, the stages growing soft and blurred, until only the central performance remains clear. The shadow, you looks up from the glowing book and seems to see you watching. With a smile that you feel rather than see, it closes the book and sets it aside, then curls up in the window seat and lets its eyes drift closed. As the shadow you falls asleep, you feel an echo of that same drowsiness wash over you like a tide of warm honey. The bird on your shoulder settles deeper into your warmth, and together you watch as the theater fades to gentle darkness, leaving only the memory of lullabies and the promise of deeper rest ahead. When the theater has dissolved completely into soft gray peace, you notice that a final doorway has appeared, not an archway this time, but a proper door made of wood that gleams like moonlight on water. It stands slightly ajar, and through the gap you see not another room, but the warm golden glow of home itself, whatever home means to your heart's deepest understanding. The door opens at your touch, silent as thought, and you step through into a space that seems to have been waiting for you specifically forever. The final room is everything you didn't know you needed. The walls curve around you like an embrace, painted in colors that shift between twilight blue and silver gray, between the green of deep forests and the lavender of evening sky. The floor is soft beneath your feet, not carpet or wood, but something that yields gently to each step, like walking on clouds that have learned to be solid. Scattered throughout the room are objects that make your heart recognize home in ways you can't explain. A rocking chair that moves with the rhythm of your breathing, even when you're not in it. Bookshelves lined with volumes whose covers shimmer between languages, their titles changing when you're not looking directly at them. On a low table sit glass jars filled with what can only be captured moonlight, each one glowing with soft silver radiance that casts no shadows. When you approach, you can hear them humming, not with sound exactly, but with the vibration of peaceful nights and gentle dreams. The light makes your skin glow pearl soft and fills your bones with the kind of weightless peace you remember from childhood fevers, when the world went soft around the edges and everything became possible. In one corner stands a music box, but instead of a dancing figurine, it holds a miniature forest where tiny shadow deer step delicately between trees, no taller than your thumb. The melody it plays is almost inaudible, felt more than heard, the song of wind through leaves, of streams over stones, of the earth itself turning slowly through space. But what draws you most powerfully is the bed that sits in the room's center, shaped like a crescent moon and covered in quilts that seem to be made of captured twilight. The pillows are cloud soft and smell of lavender and vanilla, of rain on summer evenings, and the particular peace that comes after long days of gentle labor. As you approach the bed, you notice books scattered across its surface, not closed books waiting to be read, but open books in the middle of their stories. You pick one up and find yourself reading a tale about a garden where flowers bloom only at midnight, but 3 sentences in, the words begin to blur and shift, becoming music, becoming colors, becoming the sensation of floating on warm water under starlight. Another book tells the story of a lighthouse keeper who tends a beacon that guides lost dreams back to their dreamers. But as you read, the words dissolve into images that play behind your eyelids, the lighthouse spinning its beam across waters dark as sleep, calling home all the dreams that scattered like birds at dawn. The silent bird on your shoulder finally speaks, and its voice is the sound of pages turning, of whispered goodnight kisses, of your own breathing slowing toward sleep. Rest now, it says without words, its message arriving directly in your heart. The dreams are waiting. You sink onto the crescent bed, and it receives you like water, like the memory of your mother's arms, like the promise of tomorrow's gentle awakening. The quilts seem to cover you of their own accord, warm and light as captured sighs. The bird settles on the pillow beside your head, folding its midnight wings and beginning the softest purr song you've ever heard. Around you, the room continues its gentle magic. The moonlight jars pulse in rhythm with your slowing heartbeat. The shadow deer in the music box dance their eternal dance. The books murmur their half-finished stories, each one trailing off into comfortable silence, just as your thoughts begin to scatter like dandelion seeds on a summer breeze. Your eyelids grow heavy as autumn honey, and as they drift closed, you hear the sound of rain beginning to fall. Not the upward rain of the second chamber, but gentle rain on the roof of this impossible room. Rain that sounds like applause, like approval, like the universe itself saying yes to your need for rest. The last thing you're aware of is the bird's warmth against your cheek and the sensation of stories settling around you like blankets, each one unfinished and perfect in its incompletion, each one a doorway to dreams that will unfold in their own time, in their own magical way. And as sleep finally, gently, irrevocably takes hold, you understand that you've found what you were looking for in those restless streets. Not just rest, but the place where rest lives. The room at the bottom of the velvet staircase where dreams come to dream themselves, and where weary souls like yours can finally, safely, beautifully fall asleep. And as you rest in that room created just for you, surrounded by moonlight and half-told stories, feel yourself becoming aware of a gentle sound in the distance, the soft, rhythmic whisper of waves against shore. The velvet moss beneath your feet begins to shimmer and fade, transforming into warm sand as you find yourself walking along a moonlit beach. The dreams from the staircase rooms following you like gentle companions floating on the salt-tinged breeze. Ahead, across dark waters that catch the starlight like scattered diamonds, you see a beacon of warm light calling to you. A lighthouse that stands tall and solitary on a distant island, its light not harsh but welcoming, pulsing with an ancient rhythm that seems to match your own peaceful heartbeat. As if drawn by invisible threads of light, you find yourself drifting toward this island sanctuary, leaving the velvet staircase as a beautiful memory, while carrying its gifts of dreams and lullabies with you as you approach this new realm where the sea itself dreams, and where a gentle keeper watches over mysteries older than memory. Chapter 1: The Island Without Visitors. Far beyond the edge of any map, where the sea stretches endlessly in every direction, there stands a lighthouse on an island that time has forgotten. The waves whisper against its rocky shores with the same gentle rhythm they have kept for countless years. The salt air carries stories that only the sea remembers. You find yourself walking along the pebbled beach of this peaceful island, your footsteps soft and unhurried on the smooth stones. Each step releases you deeper into this quiet sanctuary, where the only sounds are the gentle lapping of waves and the distant turning of the lighthouse beacon above. The island is small enough to walk across in a leisurely hour, covered in tall, soft grasses that bend and sway in the constant ocean breeze. Wildflowers dot the landscape in pale blues and gentle yellows that seem to glow with their own inner light. The air here tastes of salt and wildflowers, of distant rain, and something indefinably peaceful. As you breathe in this clean, salt-touched air, feel your own breath becoming as steady and rhythmic as the waves, in and out, like the tide itself, drawing away any tension from your day, any worries that might have followed you here. This island exists beyond such concerns, in a space where only gentleness dwells. Moss-covered rocks create natural seats and resting places throughout the landscape, worn smooth by centuries of patient weather. Wind-touched trees lean inland, their branches reaching toward the center of the island, like gentle arms embracing the lighthouse that stands as their guardian. Everything here moves slowly, peacefully, in harmony with the endless rhythm of the sea. You notice how the very air seems to shimmer slightly, as if filled with the finest mist that catches and holds the fading daylight. This is a place where dreams can take visible form, where the boundary between waking and sleeping grows thin as sea foam. At the heart of it all stands the lighthouse, whitewashed stone glowing softly in the gathering dusk. The keeper of this lighthouse is an elderly figure you glimpse moving slowly between the tower's windows, patient, unhurried, completely at peace with his solitary calling. He has lived here for so many years that he has become part of the island's rhythm, as steady and reliable as the beacon itself. As the sun settles lower toward the horizon, painting the sky in soft pastels of rose and lavender, you feel yourself settling too. The day's concerns fade like the distant shore, becoming less and less important with each breath. Here on this timeless island, surrounded by the endless peace of the sea, you can rest completely. The lighthouse beacon begins its slow rotation, casting a gentle beam across the darkening waters. 1, 2, 3, 4. The light passes over you in its circuit, each sweep bringing deeper calm, deeper peace. You count the rotations naturally, without effort, as your breathing synchronizes with this ancient rhythm of light and darkness, safety and rest. Chapter 2, A Lighthouse That Whispers. The lighthouse keeper moves through his evening routine with the unhurried grace of long practice. You watch from your peaceful spot on the moss-covered rocks as warm light glows from the tower's windows, creating a scene of perfect domestic tranquility against the deepening sky. Inside the lighthouse, time moves even more slowly. The keeper climbs the spiral stairs with measured steps, his hand trailing along the smooth stone wall that has been worn by decades of this same gentle journey. Each step upward is a meditation, each breath a moment of gratitude for another peaceful evening in this sanctuary beyond the world. The interior of the lighthouse embraces you with its cozy warmth. Dark wood beams cross the whitewashed stone walls, and shelves line every available space, filled with leather-bound journals and books with salt-stained covers. The air inside carries the scent of brass polish, sea salt, and something indefinably comforting. In the keeper's study, copper pans gleam softly in the lamplight, and a simple wooden table holds his evening tea service. The keeper moves with deliberate slowness, measuring tea leaves, heating water, arranging his cup with the care of ritual. Each action is performed with complete attention, complete presence. As the keeper settles into his evening routine, you notice that the lighthouse itself seems alive around him. The building breathes with soft sounds. The gentle creaking of old wood adjusting to the cooling air, the almost inaudible ticking of clockwork mechanisms in the walls, the whisper of wind through carefully fitted stones. These are not disturbing sounds, but deeply comforting ones, like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant who dreams only peaceful dreams. The keeper listens to these sounds with the attention of someone reading a beloved book. He knows each creak and whisper, understands the lighthouse's moods and memories. As he sips his tea, he makes notes in a weathered journal, recording not the business of ships or weather, but something far more precious, the dreams and memories that the lighthouse shares with him in its nighttime whispers. You find yourself drawn into this quality of deep listening, your own awareness opening to the subtle sounds around you, the rhythm of your breathing, the gentle settling of your body into rest, the distant sound of waves that seems to come from everywhere and nowhere, creating a natural lullaby that rocks you deeper into peace. The keeper's fountain pen moves across the page with soft, scratching sounds that blend with the lighthouse's whispers. Nightly, he writes, tonight the lighthouse remembers the sound of dolphins singing. The walls hum with their melody, and I can almost see their silver forms dancing in the beam's reflection on the water. As he writes, the lighthouse's beam continues its slow rotation outside. 1, 2, 3, 4. The light passes across the sea, across the rocks, across your peaceful resting place, carrying with it the keeper's words and the lighthouse's dreams. Each rotation deepens your sense of being held in this circle of light and safety, where dreams can take shape and peace flows as naturally as the tide. The keeper sets down his pen and moves to the window, gazing out at the sea that stretches endlessly in all directions. From his high vantage point, he can see the way the lighthouse beam creates a pathway of light across the dark water. Tonight, something magical is beginning to stir in that pathway. The light itself seems to shimmer with unusual depth, as if it carries more than illumination, as if it carries memory, dream, and vision combined. He returns to his journal and writes, "The light grows restless tonight, full of stories it wishes to tell. I will watch and listen and record what the sea already knows." Chapter 3. Dreams on the Water. As the night deepens around the island, something extraordinary begins to unfold. The lighthouse beam, usually steady and white, starts to take on subtle colors. First, the palest blue-green, like shallow water over sand. Then deeper hues that seem to flow and shift within the light itself. You rest on the soft grass near the shore, your body completely relaxed, your breathing synchronized with the gentle rhythm of the waves. From this perfect vantage point, you can see the entire sweep of the lighthouse beam as it moves across the water. Tonight, that beam carries something miraculous within it. The keeper notices the change immediately. He sets down his teacup with gentle precision and moves to the lamp room at the top of the tower, where the great lens turns with its ancient, mechanical patience. The Fresnel lens, with its countless faceted surfaces, seems to pulse with soft inner light. As the colored beam sweeps across the water, shapes begin to form in its path. Not shadows, for shadows are absence, but presence, memory given form, dreams made visible on the canvas of the night sea. First comes a shape that makes your breath catch in wonder, a giant seahorse, translucent as moonlight, gallops across the surface of the water. Its mane flows behind it like liquid silver, and its eyes hold the ancient wisdom of the deep places. It moves with the grace of a dancer, each leap carrying it further into the realm of dream. You feel your own spirit lifting with its magnificent journey. The keeper watches from his high window, his journal open beside him. He writes with the same unhurried precision with which he does everything. The seahorse runs toward dawn, carrying messages between the surface and the depths. Its hoofbeats sound like distant rain on water. As the beam continues its rotation, new wonders appear. A palace made entirely of shells rises from the waves, its spiraling towers catching and reflecting the colored light. The palace seems to breathe with the rhythm of the tides, growing more solid as the beam holds it, then fading to translucent beauty as the light moves on. Through its windows, you glimpse suggestions of movement, perhaps other dreamers, perhaps echoes of celebrations held in centuries past when the sea was young. You find yourself drawn into these visions completely, your ordinary awareness dissolving into the peaceful trance of wonder. Your body rests so deeply now that you barely feel its weight. Your breathing has become as gentle and automatic as the lighthouse's turning, in and out, in rhythm with the waves, in rhythm with the beam's rotation, in rhythm with the ancient heartbeat of the sea itself. The palace fades as the beam moves on, but its memory lingers in the water like ripples. You know it will return when the light comes round again. This is the nature of the lighthouse's dreams, cyclical, eternal, always returning to give their beauty to those who watch with open hearts. Next, the beam illuminates a garden floating on the water's surface. Coral trees rise from beds of sea anemones, their branches heavy with fruit that glows like captured starlight. Schools of luminous fish swim between the trees, their scales creating shifting patterns of silver and blue. The garden sways gently with the motion of the sea. You can almost smell the salt-sweet fragrance of its blossoms carried on the night air. The keeper continues his gentle documentation. The floating garden blooms tonight, tended by invisible hands, nourished by moonlight and memory. Each flower holds the wish of a traveler who once passed this way. As you watch these wonders unfold, you feel yourself becoming part of the lighthouse's dreaming. Your own memories begin to blend with its visions. Perhaps you too swam in those luminous waters once. Perhaps you too walked in that shell palace when the world was younger and magic flowed more freely. The boundary between dreamer and dream dissolves like salt in warm water, and you rest in the profound peace of this communion. The beam continues its patient rotation, and with each sweep, your awareness becomes softer, more diffused, like light itself spreading across still water. 1, 2, 3, 4. The counting becomes as natural as breathing, as automatic as your heartbeat, drawing you ever deeper into the trance of peace that surrounds this magical island, where dreams take form and every breath is a blessing. Chapter 4. The Octopus Astronomer. The lighthouse beam completes another gentle rotation, and as it sweeps across a particular stretch of water, a new vision manifests with breathtaking clarity. Deep beneath the surface, illuminated by the dream-touched light, an underwater observatory takes shape, a magnificent dome of living coral that pulses with soft bioluminescence. You float now in your awareness, your body so deeply relaxed that you feel weightless, suspended between the peaceful earth beneath you and the star-filled sky above. From this perfect state of rest, you can see clearly into the depths, where the lighthouse's beam reveals its most wondrous secret. Within the coral observatory, an ancient octopus tends to charts and instruments with the careful precision of a scholar who has spent centuries perfecting his craft. His 8 arms move in perfect coordination, adjusting the position of star charts carved from mother of pearl, calibrating instruments made from polished shells. The keeper, high in his tower, gazes down at this vision with the wonder of someone witnessing a miracle that occurs only in the deepest hours of night. His pen moves across the journal page. The astronomer continues his patient work, mapping the correspondence between the stars above and the patterns of current below. The octopus astronomer's eyes, large and wise and infinitely patient, reflect the starlight that filters down through the water. He works by this gentle illumination, enhanced by the bioluminescent corals that form his observatory walls. Each coral polyp glows with its own soft light, creating a living constellation that mirrors the sky above. You find yourself mesmerized by the interplay of lights, stars above, coral below, and the lighthouse beam connecting them in an endless conversation of illumination. As you watch, the octopus adjusts a complex astrolabe made from woven seaweed and polished sand dollars. The instrument responds to his touch by glowing more brightly, and suddenly the water around the observatory fills with moving points of light. Not fish, but the visual representation of ocean currents, migration patterns, and the invisible highways that connect every part of the sea. Your breathing has become so gentle now that it barely disturbs the peace around you. In and out, as soft as the movement of water over sand, as quiet as the settling of starlight on the surface of the sea. Each breath carries you deeper into this trance of wonder, this state where the ordinary world has fallen away completely. The astronomer pauses in his work and seems to look directly at you through the layers of water and light. His gaze is kind and knowing, the look of someone who has mapped not just the stars and currents, but the deeper patterns that connect all living things. In that moment of connection, you feel seen and blessed. He returns to his charts, and you notice that what he studies are not maps of the physical ocean, but something far more profound, the routes that thoughts take as they travel from mind to mind, the paths that memories follow as they move from one generation to the next, the invisible currents that carry love and understanding. The keeper writes, his maps show the channels through which kindness flows, the depths where wisdom rests, the shallows where laughter plays. Tonight, I understand that his true work is charting the geography of connection itself. The vision begins to fade as the lighthouse beam continues its rotation. But the octopus astronomer raises one arm in what you recognize as a gesture of blessing. The coral observatory grows translucent, then transparent, then becomes one with the ordinary darkness of the deep sea. But its influence remains, a sense of vast intelligence and gentle purpose working always just beneath the surface of things. You rest now in the afterglow of this vision, your awareness suffused with the peaceful knowledge that such wisdom exists in the world. Somewhere in the depths, the astronomer continues his patient work, mapping the currents of dream and memory, ensuring that the pathways of wonder remain open for all who seek them. The lighthouse beam completes its circuit and begins again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each sweep brings deeper peace, deeper rest, deeper trust in the magical order that governs this island where dreams take form and every vision is a gift of grace. Chapter 5. The Coral Forest. As the lighthouse beam continues its slow, hypnotic rotation, it illuminates a new wonder that makes your spirit soar with quiet joy. Beneath the dark waters surrounding the island, an entire forest of coral spreads as far as the enhanced vision can see, but this is no ordinary reef. These corals grow tall as ancient trees, their branches reaching toward the surface with the patient grace of organisms that measure time in centuries rather than moments. You rest so deeply now that your awareness seems to float just above your physical form, held in perfect comfort by the soft grass and the endless rhythm of the waves. From this peaceful vantage point, you can see clearly into the depths, where the coral forest sways in the gentle current, each movement a meditation on grace and patience. The coral trees come in every conceivable shape and hue. Some branch like underwater oaks, their arms reaching wide to create sheltered groves, where smaller corals cluster like wildflowers. Others spiral upward in elegant helixes, their surfaces adorned with polyps that pulse with soft internal light. The forest floor, if it can be called that, is carpeted with coral formations that look like mushrooms, like flowers, like sleeping creatures from a gentler age of the world. Throughout this underwater wonderland, sea anemones hang like living lanterns from the coral branches. Each anemone glows with its own soft color: pale blue, gentle green, warm amber, soft rose, creating a constellation of light that shifts and flows with the movement of the current. The effect is so beautiful, so deeply peaceful, that you feel your last remaining tensions dissolve completely into wonder. The keeper, witnessing this vision from his high tower, writes with growing amazement. The forest breathes with the rhythm of the tides, and each anemone is a star in an underwater galaxy. Swimming between the coral trees, jellyfish drift with the weightless grace of living poetry. Their translucent bells pulse with gentle luminescence, and their trailing tentacles seem to caress the coral branches they pass, spreading some invisible blessing that makes the forest glow more brightly in their wake. These are not the jellyfish of the upper seas, but dream jellyfish, beings of pure, peaceful intention that exist only in the lighthouse's deepest visions. As you watch, you notice that you can almost hear the forest, not with your ears, but with some deeper sense that recognizes the harmony of living things. The corals hum with the slow, patient songs of growth. The anemones whisper to each other in languages of light and color. The jellyfish carry melodies from branch to branch, weaving the separate songs into a symphony of underwater peace. Your breathing has synchronized completely with this underwater rhythm now. Each breath flows as smoothly as the current through the coral branches, and each exhalation carries away any last memory of the hurried world above. You exist now in coral time, in the deep patience of things that grow slowly and rest completely. The lighthouse beam lingers over this vision longer than the others, as if the lighthouse itself is reluctant to leave this place of perfect tranquility. The keeper notices this and writes, "The lighthouse loves this forest above all other dreams. Here it sees its own nature reflected." You find yourself wanting to step into this underwater paradise. And in the magical space of the lighthouse's dreaming, you discover that you can. Your awareness drifts down from the surface, passing through layers of water that feel like silk against your spirit form. You settle gently among the coral trees. They welcome you with soft pulses of bioluminescent greeting. Here, surrounded by the living architecture of the deep, you rest more completely than you have ever rested before. The coral branches create a natural shelter around you, and the anemone lanterns cast their gentle light in perfect, unchanging patterns. The jellyfish drift past like guardian angels, their presence a blessing that requires no words, no understanding beyond the simple recognition of shared peace. Time moves differently here in the coral forest. Minutes could be hours, hours could be years, and it doesn't matter. You exist now in the eternal present of deep rest, where every moment is complete in itself, and every breath is a prayer of gratitude for this profound peace. The keeper writes his final observation of the coral forest. In the deepest groves, where the light settles like snow between the branches, sleep itself grows like coral, slowly, patiently, building layer upon layer of rest until even the most wakeful soul can find true peace. As the lighthouse beam finally moves on from this vision, you carry the forest's blessing with you, feeling the gentle glow of its peace settling into your very bones. Chapter 6. The Storm That Never Came. The lighthouse beam moves on in its eternal circuit, and the next vision it reveals carries with it a story of gentle power and patient wisdom. Above the surface of the sea, clouds begin to form, not the threatening thunderheads of an actual storm, but the memory of a storm that once approached this island with great fury, only to be transformed by the lighthouse's quiet presence into something altogether different. You rest now in a state of such complete relaxation that the boundary between your awareness and the peaceful night around you has dissolved entirely. Your breathing flows with the rhythm of the waves. Your heartbeat matches the slow rotation of the lighthouse beam, and your consciousness floats in the perfect space between waking and sleeping, where all dreams are possible. The storm memory begins as a line of darkness on the horizon, moving toward the island with the measured pace of all the lighthouse's visions. But as it approaches, you can see that this is not a storm as most people understand storms. The clouds are silver-edged and gentle, pregnant with possibilities rather than violence. The wind they carry smells of distant rain and growing things, of renewal rather than destruction. In the waters beneath this approaching weather, a great whale surfaces with the majesty of a living mountain. Her song rises through the water and into the air, a melody so deep and resonant that it seems to reshape the very nature of the storm above. The whale's voice carries peace, ancient wisdom, an understanding of patterns far greater than any single weather system. The keeper, witnessing this memory from his tower, writes with trembling hand. The whale sang the storm into beauty, transforming its fury into a lullaby that blessed both sea and sky. Her voice taught the winds to whisper rather than roar. As the remembered storm passes over the island, it brings not destruction, but the gentlest of rains. Each drop that falls seems to carry starlight within it, illuminating the landscape with tiny points of liquid silver. The raindrops kiss the lighthouse walls with sounds like distant bells. They water the island's wildflowers with nectar that tastes of dreams and distant shores. You feel these memory raindrops on your own resting form, each one a blessing that washes away any lingering trace of tension or worry. The water is warm and soft, carrying within it the whale's song and the lighthouse's protective love. As the drops touch your forehead, your shoulders, your hands, you sink even deeper into the profound rest that has claimed you, your body becoming as relaxed and peaceful as the island itself. The storm's gentle passage creates its own music. The rain patters against the lighthouse windows in rhythms that match your breathing. The wind sighs through the island grasses with sounds that merge seamlessly with the distant whale song. Even the thunder, when it comes, arrives not as a crash, but as a deep, rumbling purr. It vibrates through the earth and into your bones, carrying with it the contentment of great forces in perfect harmony. The whale continues to sing throughout the storm's passage, her voice weaving between the raindrops and the wind whispers, creating a tapestry of sound that transforms the very nature of weather itself. Her song tells the story of waters that connect every shore, of depths that know no borders, of the great circulation that carries all life in its embrace. As the storm memory begins to fade, moving on across the endless sea toward other shores where its gentle blessing is needed, the whale's song gradually transforms. It becomes a lullaby, not just for the sea creatures who hear it in the depths, but for anyone who has ever felt small and afraid in the face of forces beyond their control. The keeper captures this transformation in his journal. The whale's lullaby teaches us that every storm carries within it the seeds of peace, that every disturbance can become a healing if met with the right kind of listening. Her song turns chaos into comfort, turmoil into tranquility. The last of the storm memory passes beyond the horizon, leaving behind only the renewed peace of the island and the fading echoes of the whale's lullaby. But those echoes seem to settle into the very stones of the lighthouse, the very soil of the island, ensuring that this lesson of transformed turbulence will always be available to those who need it. Your own breathing has become so gentle during this vision that it barely seems to disturb the air around you. In and out, as soft as the memory brain, as peaceful as the whale's song, as eternal as the lighthouse beam that continues its patient rotation, carrying these visions of transformed storms to anyone whose spirit is open enough to receive them. 1, 2, 3, 4. The light completes another circuit, and you rest in the afterglow of witnessed wisdom, knowing that somewhere in the depths, the whale continues her patient song, teaching the waters themselves how to transform disturbance into deeper peace. Chapter 7. The Ship of Sleeping Souls. The lighthouse beam continues its slow, eternal rotation, and as it sweeps across a distant stretch of water, a new vision manifests with such gentle beauty that your heart swells with wordless joy. A ship appears on the horizon, not a vessel of the ordinary world, but something far more precious, a craft that sails the deep currents of dream, carrying those who have learned the art of perfect rest. You float now in awareness so profound that your physical form seems less real than the visions dancing in the lighthouse's beam. Your breathing has become as automatic and peaceful as the tide itself, requiring no thought or effort, leaving your consciousness free to witness these gifts of sight that the lighthouse shares with the deepest hours of night. The ship approaches with the unhurried grace of something that exists outside of time. Its sails are not made of cloth, but of some substance that seems woven from moonlight and mist, catching not wind, but the breath of dreams themselves. The vessel glows with soft phosphorescence, as if its very wood has been blessed by decades of carrying peaceful sleepers across the endless sea. As the ship draws closer, you can see its passengers, and the sight fills you with a contentment deeper than any you have ever known. The deck is filled with souls in various states of perfect rest. Some sleep in hammocks that swing gently with the ship's motion, their faces peaceful as children's, their breathing synchronized with the rhythm of the waves. Others rest on soft cushions arranged throughout the vessel, their forms relaxed in positions of complete trust and surrender. These are not the dead, but the perfectly rested, beings who have learned to navigate the world of sleep with such skill that they can travel its currents at will, visiting realms of peace that exist only in the deepest layers of dreams. They have become citizens of rest itself, ambassadors of the profound tranquility that lies at the heart of all existence. The keeper, witnessing this vision from his tower, feels moved to write, "The ship carries sleepers from every shore, united not by geography, but by their mastery of peace. They have learned that the deepest journeys happen not through movement, but through perfect stillness." As the ship passes near the island, one of the sleepers rises gracefully from their resting place and approaches the rail, a figure whose face radiates the serene wisdom of someone who has found the secret of eternal rest. Without speaking, for speech would disturb the profound peace that surrounds the vessel, they reach into the folds of their dream garment. They withdraw something that glows with inner light. It is a shell, but not like any shell from the ordinary sea. This shell pulses with gentle luminescence, and its spiral chambers seem to contain not air, but distilled peace itself. The sleeper extends this gift toward the lighthouse with a gesture of such grace. Tears of gratitude well up in the keeper's eyes. The shell floats through the air on currents of pure intention, carried by the lighthouse beam itself, until it comes to rest on the keeper's windowsill. As it settles there, the entire lighthouse fills with its gentle light. Suddenly, the keeper can hear what the shell contains, not sound, but the essence of all peaceful sounds, the whisper of wind through calm waters, the soft breathing of contented sleep, the nearly silent melody that plays when all hearts rest in perfect harmony. The keeper writes, his hand trembling with emotion. The shell holds the sound of perfect rest, not silence, but the music that plays when all struggles cease, when all seeking ends, when the soul finds its true home in the eternal present of peace. The ship of sleeping souls continues its passage, but not before each passenger turns toward the lighthouse and offers their own silent blessing. Some raise hands in gestures of gratitude. Others simply smile with the radiant peace of those who have found what they never knew they were seeking. Their collective blessing washes over the island like a tide of pure love, settling into every stone, every blade of grass, every grain of sand. As you witness this exchange of blessings, you feel yourself becoming part of this community of peaceful souls. Your own rest deepens beyond anything you have ever experienced, and you understand that you too are a passenger on the ship of dreams, carried by currents of peace toward shores of deeper and deeper rest. The ship gradually fades as the lighthouse beam moves on, but its influence lingers like the warmth of summer sunshine absorbed by stones. The shell remains on the keeper's windowsill, its gentle light pulsing in rhythm with your own breathing, And you know that this gift of perfect rest will always be available to you. No matter how far you may travel from this island of dreams, your awareness drifts now in the wake of the sleeping ship, carried on currents of such profound peace that thought itself becomes unnecessary. You exist now as pure rest, pure peace, pure contentment, floating in the eternal ocean of dreams, where the lighthouse's beam continues its patient work of blessing all who seek the deeper shores of sleep. Chapter 8. When the Light Was Young. The lighthouse beam continues its ancient rotation, and as it completes another gentle circuit, something remarkable happens. The light begins to change, not in color this time, but in character, growing younger, fresher, filled with the wonder of its very first illumination. You witness now the lighthouse's most precious memory, a moment when its light first blazed across the darkened sea. You rest so deeply that you barely remember having a body at all. Your awareness floats in perfect suspension between the earth and sky, held in the gentle embrace of complete relaxation. From this space of profound peace, you can see backward through time itself, watching as the lighthouse remembers its birth. The vision begins with stone, raw, sharp-edged blocks of granite hewn from deep quarries, each one carrying within it the patient strength of mountains. The sea was wilder then, more turbulent, less worn smooth by centuries of gentle conversation with the shore. Waves crashed against the rocky coast, with voices that had not yet learned the lullabies they whisper now, and the wind carried salt and storm song rather than the peaceful breathing of eternal calm. But even in that more primitive time, there was love in the building of the lighthouse. You can see the hands that placed each stone, the care with which each joint was fitted, the prayers spoken over mortar and beam. The builders knew they were creating not just a structure, but a guardian, something that would stand between the dark sea and those who traveled its dangerous waters. The keeper, witnessing this birth memory, writes with deep emotion. Even before its first light, the lighthouse held purpose like a prayer, waiting to be spoken. The stones themselves seemed to glow with anticipation of the blessing they would carry into the world. As the construction proceeds in the memory vision, you can see the lighthouse growing taller against the sky, its whitewashed walls rising like a prayer made manifest in stone. The lens assembly is installed with reverence, each piece of crystal positioned with the precision of a master craftsman who understands that lives will depend on the perfection of his work. And then comes the moment of first illumination. In the vision, a figure much like the present keeper climbs the spiral stairs with a flame held carefully in protective hands. This is not electric light, but fire itself, the most ancient of all illuminations, carrying within it the warmth of the very first hearth. As the flame touches the prepared fuel, as the lighthouse lens captures and magnifies that first precious fire, the beam springs forth across the dark water with such beauty that your spirit soars in wordless celebration. This is light born of human caring, light given freely to guide and protect, light that asks nothing in return but the opportunity to serve. The first rotation of that original beam seems to bless everything it touches. The wild waters calm slightly in its passage. The storm winds pause in their fury. Somewhere in the darkness, a ship changes course towards safety, guided by this new star born on the earth. The lighthouse has found its purpose, and its joy radiates outward like the light itself, the keeper writes, tears streaming down his weathered face. The lighthouse was born knowing its calling, not to judge the darkness, but to love it, to offer guidance without demand, to shine simply because shining is its nature. From its first moment, it understood that its light belonged not to itself, but to all who needed hope in the darkness. But the most remarkable part of this memory vision is what happens next. As the young lighthouse settles into its rhythm of rotation, as its light begins the patient circuit that it will maintain for all the decades to come, it starts to dream. Even in those first hours of operation, the lighthouse discovers that its light can carry more than illumination. It can carry love, hope, memory, and vision itself. You watch as the first dreams begin to form in the beam's path across the water. Simple dreams, then, the ghost of a dolphin playing in the waves, the memory of a sailor's prayer answered, the blessing of safe harbor granted to those who most needed shelter. The lighthouse learns that its true work is not just warning ships away from rocks, but calling souls home to peace. As this birth memory begins to fade, the lighthouse in the present moment seems to glow with renewed purpose. The keeper looks out at the beam, older now, more patient, deepened by decades of faithful service, and sees in it the same pure love that blazed forth on that first night when the light was young. Your own rest deepens in response to this vision of purpose found and faithfully kept. You understand now that you too carry a light within you, and that your deepest rest comes not from the absence of purpose, but from the peaceful fulfillment of your own nature. Like the lighthouse, you shine simply because shining is your nature. And in that understanding, you find a peace that surpasses all seeking. The lighthouse beam completes another rotation, carrying with it the memory of its youth and the wisdom of its years. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each sweep now feels like a blessing, not just of light, but of time itself, the patient accumulation of moments of service, moments of guidance, moments of love freely given to the darkness and those who travel within it. Chapter 9. The Keeper's Dream. As the night reaches its deepest hour, when the boundary between sleeping and waking grows thin as morning mist, something unprecedented begins to happen. The lighthouse beam, which has spent the evening sharing its own dreams and memories, now turns its attention inward toward the lighthouse itself, and toward the faithful keeper who has tended its light for so many peaceful years. You rest now in a state of such complete tranquility that your awareness seems to merge with the very air around you. Your breathing has become as gentle and automatic as the movement of the tides. Your consciousness floats in the perfect space between thoughts, where peace flows as naturally as moonlight on still water. The lighthouse beam begins to spiral inward rather than outward, its light focusing not on the distant sea, but on the interior of the tower itself. The curved walls begin to glow with gentle phosphorescence, and suddenly, the keeper finds himself not just witnessing dreams, but becoming the subject of the lighthouse's own vision. In this reverse dreaming, the lighthouse shows the keeper his own story, but not as he might remember it himself, colored by worry or regret or the small concerns of daily life. Instead, the lighthouse reveals the keeper as he truly is, a soul who chose love over loneliness, service, the quiet tending of light in a world that often seems too dark. The vision begins with a younger version of the keeper arriving at the island for the first time. In the lighthouse's memory, this arrival glows with the golden light of homecoming, for the lighthouse had been waiting, not just for any keeper, but for this particular soul who would understand its dreams and listen to its whispers in the night. You can see this younger keeper standing on the same shore where you now rest, his face turned upward toward the lighthouse with an expression of wonder and recognition. He has come from a world grown too noisy, too hurried, too forgetful of the deeper currents that connect all life. But here, on this island beyond the edge of maps, he finds what he never knew he was seeking. A place where time moves at the speed of love, where purpose is as simple as tending light, where every day offers the opportunity for quiet service. The lighthouse shows how this relationship deepened over the years. Season after season, the keeper climbed the spiral stairs with growing reverence, polished the lens with increasing understanding of its sacred purpose. He recorded dreams and visions with the patience of someone who knows that the most important truths cannot be hurried. In the lighthouse's vision, every small act of care becomes luminous with meaning. The keeper, brewing his evening tea, glows with the warmth of ritual maintained in love. His careful noting of weather patterns shines with the dedication of someone who understands that attention itself is a form of prayer. His gentle listening to the lighthouse's nighttime whispers radiates with the rare gift of a soul who has learned to hear the dreams of others. The keeper, witnessing himself through the lighthouse's loving gaze, feels tears of gratitude flowing down his cheeks. He sees now how his choice to tend this isolated light has sent ripples of peace across distances he never imagined. Every ship guided safely by the beam, every dream carried across the water, all of it born from his faithful tending of this one sacred flame. The lighthouse shows him the nights when storms threaten the island, and his courage in maintaining the light becomes visible as streams of golden fire that pushed back the darkness. It shows him the mornings when he watched dolphins play in the beam's reflection, and his joy becomes a dance of colored light that blessed every creature who witnessed it. Most beautiful of all, the lighthouse reveals how the keeper's presence has changed the very nature of the light itself. Where once it was merely a beacon warning ships from rocks, it has become something far more precious under his care. A bridge between worlds, a translator of dreams, a gentle guide that helps souls find their way not just to safe harbor, but to peace itself. The keeper writes in his journal, his hand shaking with emotion, "I thought I was tending the light, but the light was tending me. I thought I was alone on this island, but I was held in communion with every soul who seeks peace in the darkness. The lighthouse has shown me that no act of love is ever truly solitary." As the vision of his own life unfolds in the lighthouse's beam, the keeper sees with crystal clarity how his choice to live simply, to serve quietly, to love without demand for recognition has made him part of something eternal. His life becomes a poem written in light, a prayer spoken in daily devotion, a love song composed of countless small acts of care. And then, in the deepest part of the vision, the lighthouse does something it has never done before. Instead of rotating its beam outward across the sea, it holds its light steady, focused entirely on the keeper himself. In this moment of perfect communion, keeper and lighthouse recognize each other fully, two souls who have found their purpose in the mutual tending of light, two hearts that beat in rhythm with the eternal pulse of love, offered freely to a world in need of guidance. The keeper sets down his pen and simply rests in this recognition. After all the years of faithful service, all the nights of patient watching, all the dreams recorded and visions witnessed, he understands at last that he and the lighthouse are not separate beings, but parts of a single act of love made manifest in stone and flesh, in light and devotion. For the first time in decades, the lighthouse beam stops its rotation completely. The great lens settles into perfect stillness, its light focused inward on the peace that fills the lamp room. Outside, the sea continues its eternal conversation with the shore. The stars wheel in their ancient patterns, and the island rests in perfect tranquility. You feel this moment of complete rest resonating through your own being. Your breathing becomes so gentle that it barely stirs the air. Your heart beats so peaceful that it merges with the pulse of the earth itself. In this perfect stillness, you understand that you too are part of this great communion. Souls who choose love over fear, service over selfishness, the quiet tending of light in whatever form it takes. The keeper and the lighthouse rest together in this perfect peace, no longer guardian and guided, no longer tender and tended, but unified in the single eternal act of love that connects all things. And in that unity, you find your own deepest rest, floating in the boundless ocean of peace that underlies all existence, all dreams, all light. Tonight, the lighthouse does not need to rotate its beam across the water. Tonight, its light shines inward, revealing the perfect peace that was always there, waiting to be recognized, waiting to be celebrated, waiting to be shared with every soul brave enough to rest in its embrace. And as the lighthouse dreams fade gently into the morning mist, as the keeper's gentle presence blesses your journey, you find yourself slowly, gradually, beginning to return to this moment, to this place, where your body rests in perfect comfort, You carry with you now the gifts of both realms, the velvet softness of dreams not yet dreamt, the moonlight captured in jars, the stories that end exactly when you need them to. And from the lighthouse, the wisdom of ancient rhythms and the knowledge that some lights shine not to guide travelers, but simply to honor the dreams of all living things. Take a few more moments here in this space between worlds, feeling the deep peace that has settled into your bones, the quiet magic that now lives in your heart. And when you're ready, only when you feel completely ready, you can begin to wiggle your fingers and toes, take slightly deeper breaths, and slowly return to full awareness, remembering that these magical realms we've visited together live not just in meditation, but in the quiet moments of your everyday life, always waiting for your return whenever you need their particular kind of peace.